Hi, I'm Jim Forsyth, and welcome to The Conversation Continues. We're talking today with Brian Chasnoff, who's the Metro columnist for the San Antonio Express News, and Joey Palacios, who is the City Hall reporter for Texas Public Radio. Thank you for joining us. One thing that has just emerged, obviously, 2018 was the year of the scooter. There's now 8,000 electric scooters, three main companies. That are not only downtown now, but you'll find them in the medical center, you'll find them in Alamo Heights. They're expanding to Southtown, Dignowity Hill. But now there's very, very serious questions being raised by Dr. Miramontes, who is the medical director of EMS, that the scooters are too dangerous, and he's proposing flat out that they be banned. Brian, first of all, let's start with you. What's your experience with those scooters, and how have they transformed transportation in the city?
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Jim, but I fell on one of those. I wrote about that, but I was actually in Austin, and I took a turn too fast, and I went sprawling, and didn't break anything, but it did hurt. It hurt my pride as well, and but they are clearly dangerous if they're not used correctly. I think that folks go too fast on them. I think that whenever you see two people on one scooter, that could be a potentially grave mistake.
I've seen three.
So, I mean, I do recognize that there is a lot of potential for harm that these can cause. At the same time, I can't tell you how convenient it is for me to zip from the newsroom to the courthouse and back, whereas it would take, too long to go when you're on deadline. So, I think there's a balance that can be struck, hopefully. An outright ban, I wouldn't want to see that.
Joey, Dr. Miramontes says there were 47 EMS-related accidents regarding scooters in just October and November, and many of those required hospitalization. So this is seriously an issue that deserves to be discussed.
Right, and as we were talking earlier, there's not any requirement that the city can put to where people are required to wear helmets. The city has issued guidelines for how people can ride and should ride. And I'll admit at first I was a little confused on some of the rules, because with bikes, you can't ride a bike on a sidewalk. You have to be on the street. So I thought the same thing had applied to scooters. And there was one instance where I was going to try to go back to my car after leaving a city council meeting. I was on a scooter, and I had to go up the street, and two people had come across into the crosswalk, and we almost collided. And so I was able to move. So the city is trying to get the messaging out on what the do's and don'ts, but not necessarily everybody sees that. So there's a lot of, like in my case, some personal responsibility that has to be taken into consideration when you're riding these.
And also there's the issue, Dr. Miramontes says, people should wear helmets. And Brian, obviously, you probably don't have a helmet in your desk at the newspaper.
My colleague Josh Baugh actually does have a helmet for those purposes in the newsroom. And yes, I tell my kids to wear helmets when they're on their pogo sticks and their bikes. And I should tell myself to wear a helmet on a scooter. But it might mess up my hair. So.
Yeah. Well, also the way scooters are used, it isn't open to helmets, and people, leave the office, they want to take a scooter to their car or something. It's not the kind of thing where, unlike if you're driving a motorcycle to Dallas, you're going to get dressed for the occasion and probably put on a helmet before you leave. I mean, it's a completely different type of transportation. So, and something else that concerns me, Brian, and maybe you've reported on this, is that nobody's really determined, and they've had this problem in other cities, as to where liability lies. I mean, if one of these smashes into the side of my car, who pays for it? And nobody's really determined that yet.
Well, that seems to be sort of the ethos of Silicon Valley, right? Just flood the market with these products and then let everything work itself out. So I think we're in the working itself out phase right now.
Are we going to be able to work this out, or are we going to lose our scooters, do you think?
I personally would hate to see them go, because they're very convenient. Trying to get to City Hall sometimes, there seems to be less and less parking around City Hall every day. And so I find myself maybe parking half a mile away, and conveniently there is a scooter right there. So I will hop on one and get to the municipal building in just a couple of minutes, rather than like a 10-minute walk.
I was gonna say, this could be karma for not, making a streetcar happen back in the, I mean, because people got to get around.
Brian Chasnoff, Metro columnist for the San Antonio Express News, Joey Palacios, Texas Public Radio. Thank you for joining us on The Conversation Continues.